In light of the fact that nothing has really changed in the crypto market, today I want to take you through my next two potential trade setups on Bitcoin, and we'll also be discussing the key events that you need to pay attention to this week. If you hadn't noticed, once again, a different background. I am in a hotel room, I keep on traveling, but I will keep you updated. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so first things first, you can see that I'm still holding on to my trades, and I will continue to hold on to these existing trades that you're seeing until the price action finally resolves either to the upside or to the downside. But you're probably here for my next setup. Now, of course, I will be sharing this next setup in my premium group if you want to know exactly when I do enter it. But here's essentially what I'm looking at. Look at the liquidity now. As Bitcoin continues to chop around, this has been an environment where you can essentially long the bottom of the range and short the top of the range. Right now, we are essentially right in the middle of that range. And so until Bitcoin can actually move up with confidence or down with confidence, it makes sense to wait for the range extremities. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, you can see that we essentially broke down from this flag, which we've been discussing on the channel for quite some time. Now, we are currently trying to hold this pivot at around $87,600 as support, as we were consolidating right below it. And usually when you consolidate below a level like this, it does mean that we can get a little bit of a bigger move to the upside. That being said, we did also recently form a lower high. As you can see here, we wicked all the way up to $90,500. This was on December 22nd, and more recently on December 26th, we made it all the way up to $89,500. So how do we proceed from here? What am I looking at in terms of a trade? It's very clear to me that the liquidity is piling up right below our current levels. You can see here that right from around $86,400 down to approximately just below $86,000, we have tons of cumulative long liquidation leverage. I find it very, very hard to believe that we will not tap into this level at some point. However, to the upside, right above $90,000, call it 91K all the way up to around 92K, we do have some pretty strong liquidity as well. So in these kinds of ranging environments, Bitcoin does like to go towards its closest liquidity. And what you can see right now is the closest liquidity is indeed to the downside. And if we take a look at this Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, you'll see that on the 30-day time frame, it is relatively even, although there is technically a little bit more cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market. On the 7-day time frame, it's almost perfectly even, and on the 1-day time frame, it is also almost perfectly even. So if we go back to the 30-day map here, the important thing to consider is this massive cluster right around $91,000. Now, if you've been following along on the channel for the past few days, past few weeks, I've been talking about this cluster for quite some time because it still has not been hit. These are shorts in the market. So my higher conviction Bitcoin short, if I'm looking for a new position, would be right around this cluster. If Bitcoin makes its move to the upside and we do remain in this ranging environment, I would be looking to go short on Bitcoin depending on the reaction that we get just above $91,000. If we can go ahead and sweep up this liquidity, this to me would be a very, very strong short in this market. And where would I be targeting? Likely below the current lows. And this brings us all the way down to around $80,000. Now, of course, no one really knows where the price is going to go, but we know that liquidity does act like a magnet in these kind of ranging environments. And I've had a lot of success trading these kinds of environments. So what I want to get at here is I'm going to be looking to go short right above $91,000 if we get that opportunity. Now, to the downside, what would I be looking for here? Because price is actually closer to the downside liquidity than it is to the upside liquidity. And what you'll notice here, if we take a look at the pattern, it is starting to look like stairs up, elevator down. And this is something that we cannot fade because over the past couple weeks, every single time that Bitcoin has chopped to the upside, we had an aggressive move lower. All this while USDT dominance does seem to want to go higher. Now, if USDT dominance is to break to the upside here, past the 6.76%, naturally that would coincide with a Bitcoin price that is much lower than $80,000. And if you've been watching me for the past few months, you know what my base case is. Bitcoin to likely go ahead and sweep some downside liquidity, then sweep some upside liquidity and actually have an aggressive move up to around $100,000. Then we have a further correction after the summer of 2026. Now, I obviously don't know the exact time frame for these kinds of things. The price action can develop much quicker than I am anticipating, but I'm just sharing with you how I would be trading this market. I would probably be looking to go long if we can go ahead and sweep those tariff lows. However, in the immediate short term, for this video in particular, if Bitcoin is to go ahead and sweep some downside liquidity here just below $86,000 and we do get the reaction that I'm looking for, which of course I'll share with you in my premium group, then of course I would be looking for a scalp long for Bitcoin to then immediately target the upside liquidity up to $91,000. But remember the overall trend, that is down. Therefore, if we are closer to downside liquidity, I typically am favoring a move to the downside. If we get the move up, then great. I will simply just enter a new short in this market, targeting the downside liquidity once more. So what I'd be looking at here for a higher conviction long trade would actually be if we can make it all the way down to $84,000. Below that level, this would be an interesting sweep of liquidity to then target 91K. The one of just sweeping 86K might be a little bit more risky. I might take on some risk because I've had some very, very good trades in this market recently. But if you just want a higher conviction play, I would simply wait for a sweep of this downside liquidity, targeting to the upside. And if you're looking for a short in this market, it would be a sweep of above $91,000, targeting the downside, and yes, all the way below the lows of around $80,000. I don't think that these are the lows. Right now, I think we're just in a chopping environment and we will likely resort to the downside, whether or not that means we grab that 91K liquidity first. Now, what is the next step from this trajectory here? Because I don't think that Bitcoin is just going to go down forever. In fact, my base case is more something like this, where after we go ahead and completely obliterate these lows in 2026, I think we will get a very, very nice bull market in the next cycle. This is how the cycles have been playing out. Maybe you don't believe in the 4-year cycles, but we did top in Q4 of the post-halving year, as we've always done. And typically, the bear market bottoms occur 1 year after that top. We topped in October, so perhaps the bear market bottom will be around October of 2026. Anyways, after Bitcoin likely goes below $70,000, which I shared in my premium group, I will be actively accumulating dollar cost averaging on the way down, not just Bitcoin, but other crypto assets. That's how I'm playing this market. And of course, the price action that you're seeing here, if we get this kind of trajectory, I will be trading the market that is right in front of me, which I've been preaching time and time again. Now, if you want to know exactly how I am personally trading this market, please remember you do have the first link in my description down below. I don't post trades every single day because I don't trade every single day. In fact, I don't think that it makes sense to be trading the market every single day. Only enter higher conviction trades, especially in this kind of environment. Now, of course, if you're a professional trader, then maybe that's a different story. But how I like to operate in this market is to only really put my capital behind higher conviction plays. So if you click the first link in my description down below and you DM me the keyword premium on Telegram, I'd be happy to onboard you into my free premium group where I share my own analysis and, of course, my own personal trade setups. And if you're looking for a great exchange to be able to join that group, you have the second link in my description down below, bringing you directly to Bluffin, where they do have a $1,000 bonus on the table up until the new year. And of course, if you are a relatively big trader, please remember that if you DM me on Telegram, I can get you VIP access on Bluffin, where depending on your deposit, you'll get reduced fees on that platform, which is excellent for seasoned traders. And the things that we should really be paying attention to this week, stock market, of course, because we just made a brand new all-time high. If stocks end up going lower from here, naturally the crypto market will suffer, and that would coincide with Bitcoin grabbing that downside liquidity. However, if we continue to rip higher, we've seen that stocks have been greatly outperforming Bitcoin over the past couple months. So I would be expecting the same thing to happen, but maybe this could give Bitcoin a little bit more juice to target some upside liquidity before then potentially moving lower. My base case is still that we would likely move lower than $80,000. And if we move higher from here, I will be shorting. If we move lower from here, I will be looking for a higher conviction long in this market. And the last thing I want you to consider before we wrap up this video, we do have some key events this week. The November pending home sales data on Monday, the Fed meeting minutes on Tuesday, the initial jobless claims data on Wednesday, and on Thursday we have China's silver export restrictions starting, as well as the US stock market closed for the new year. December S&P global manufacturing PMI data will be coming out on Friday as well. Another short but action-packed week. Pay attention to these events because they will likely impact how the market is currently trading. And the last thing I wanted to show you, I thought this was pretty funny. Remember when we were buying this because Vitalik's mom was part of the team? 2021, simpler times. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, this is the Metis token. And the comment section here also made me laugh. In 2017, I bought a coin because there was rumors of a logo redesigned. Absolute peak investment strategy, got a 2x out of it. 2017, new GitHub commit up 350%. That was the previous crypto market. Now, I don't think that this will replicate itself, but when we get a new shift in monetary policy, which we're already starting because quantitative tightening ended, I think that the conditions will definitely get better. So don't tune out of the crypto market, because those that tune out will be the ones that typically come back when the price is much, much higher and they miss some excellent opportunities. You may not want to believe it. I know sometimes it's annoying to have to tune into videos every single day, but I'm trying to give you these quick updates to show you how I'm trading this market and also when I will be continuing to buy spot near those bear market lows. And that sums up today's quick video. Bitcoin is essentially just chopping around, but I am looking at the liquidity for my next high conviction trade. When we're in these kinds of ranging environments, you have to remember that liquidity acts like a magnet. And if we don't grab either side of liquidity, then it's very, very difficult to enter a high conviction trade. Of course, if I do go ahead and enter a new trade, you'll be first to know in my premium group, and then I'll talk about it on the channel after the fact. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I have my bluff and leverage trading tutorial right here if that interests you. I'll see you in the next video.